So we are live, episode number 14. Lou Pickney Place, Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. On the last show, I made it through my last event of July 2020, which essentially has been a weekly show on Tuesday nights. It's been a de facto television show, even though you have to be much larger of a company than I am at this point to have your own TV show. I'm playing as a company called Launch Wrestling. See, Launch. And this is something that was new for Total Extreme Wrestling 2020, is your ability as a human-controlled child company to have an AI or computer-controlled parent company. At the same time, I set up a second child company for AEW in the game. I'm running the men's company side as far as the in-ring talent. And then there's a separate women's company I've set up for the AI to run, almost like it's just compare and contrast. Now, they finally put some talent down there on that, on the women's. Easy for me to pull it up and try to bring it to you from memory. They've got some wrestlers on the roster there, but they haven't run a show yet. They've called people up. It's been kind of odd. Let's see what this is for. As you can see, the attendance is shooting through the roof. 300% increase. But we go from 12 to 36, it's a slow climb, but my importance keeps growing. Wasn't trying to bring up just the one match here, but anyway, so it was a successful, there we go. I must have clicked twice by accident. So it's a time limit draw in the main event. Chris Hero and Cain Velasquez against Drew Gulak and PJ Black. PJ Black's a relatively new signee. He was Justin Gabriel in WWE. I think he's very underrated, very good talent. I thought real life. Glad to have him here as part of this. So this is the final show that had Alicia Fox, who was an early breakout star for me as far as somebody I didn't choose to bring in here, but AEW in the game hired and sent to me for developmental, which makes a lot of sense for Alicia Fox. If you're going to have her be a manager, send her somewhere where she can get a bit accustomed to that role, where she's not a wrestler cutting a promo, but a manager promoting somebody else. Or at least test it out that way. But it's worked very well, and she got called back up to the main roster, so there she goes. Now, more than anything, I'm curious to see the start of the third month to see how much let's see, from a popularity standpoint, if I'm able to start drawing at least like 100 fans maybe, or how long that's going to take. Impact, I thought they were just going to tape a bunch like they normally do in real life and then have them for 3 or 4 weeks of television, but in this game, they've had them run every Tuesday night with it airing on a delay on Friday. So I can go ahead and pull this up and show you. I've got basically 2 shows planned for the next week, game time wise. I think when I reach the end of week 1, August 2020, I'll have 2 shows. This one I'm doing as a special one-off on the Sundays because of Impact having right of first refusal essentially over these wrestlers. And actually what's been tougher than anything has been the road agent part of it. And Gail Kim was one of my best, but they started running Tuesdays and they've got her and right of first refusal. And so I've kind of had to improvise with Chris Hero and the Rock and Roll Express serving as road agents. They've done a good job though, so it's been successful. So first things first, even before I get to the beginning of the next month, which I really look forward to seeing, I need to see if I can bring in Jacob Fatu as a one-off, going to a 6-man tag. The build is eventually to get Big Cass in position to challenge Chris Hero for the world title. So Cass will get the win over King on this Sunday event I'm running. So I started what I thought was going to be a nice program with ACH and TJ Perkins, had him go to a 20-minute draw. But then that's when Impact, right after that, started running those Tuesday shows. And so at ACH, like cutting promo saying, you're ducking me, TJP. Finally planning to have it on this as a one-off on this Sunday, the first week of August. Also allows me to book some CMLL wrestlers as a one-off because they also run on Tuesdays and would block me from a lot of guys that would be of interest. So first things first, though, is to get Jacob Fatu. If I can do that, then it frees me up a bit. Oh, come on. All right, Jacob Fatu. It doesn't have to be just a one-off. He's a world champion, so I don't know if this is going to be a favorable. Man, it's $1,100, and I can bring in the world champ. Sorry, Court Bauer, nothing personal. Okay. He's based in the Southwest, and it seems like without exception, everybody from the Southwest, when they work with me, based in the Southeast, they want their travel costs covered, which I understand. Now, the 10% merch thing may be a problem. We'll see. But if he'll do this for $1,100 or somewhere in that range, it doesn't cost me anything to keep him around. I can book him. He's their world champion, so I can, We'll see if he wants some creative control or something. Well, I'm not looking to job him out per se. I do want to bring him in to take the fall in the six-man tag. My world champ and Chris Hero, my world tag champs and FTR. Setting up Primo and Epico to challenge for the tag titles. But it can't be too predictable where it's like, a six-man tag match where one teammate pins another and to set up a tag title match where the challengers would win. It gets too predictable. You do it that way all the time. So in other words, I wouldn't do like Epico pinning Cash Wheeler to set up a tag title match. That's already set. And this is just like the road to kind of mentality. Yeah, as predicted, he's going to want more of the merch money. Let's see if we'll go for $1,140. $1,175. So I bid against myself. $1,200 even. Here we go. $1,500 or $1,250. That's not just. I can't wait to get one bid on top of the next. $1,250. There we go. Okay, $1,250 I'll do. That's where it's unlimited, so I can keep bringing it back. And if I don't want to, I just let him go. Just like if he doesn't want to work with me anymore, it's a handshake deal, no downside guarantee nonsense, which is one of my favorite improvements, I think, from 2016 to 2020. And there's some great improvements in this game. All right, so we got. There's a chance he might back out or something. That has happened before. It doesn't happen very often. It would get annoying if it did, but just enough where, like in this case, the one time it happened where somebody backed out was Rob Van Dam. But I'm guessing Fatu's going to be good for it. So Jacob Fatu got locked in as far as the offer. That almost always goes. So it really frees me up for the moment. I do want to hire some Impact wrestlers. I want to hire some CMLL wrestlers. But I should be able to get to Sunday first and then put those in. Because that's normally doesn't take more than 6 days on the rotation to get to. Like it may take like 4 or 5 days for Jacob Fatu to give me the okay. That's why I went ahead and did this now, thinking for Tuesday of the next week, which is 6 days away. So we'll see. And you can tell down here, I'm looking at Eddie Edwards, Rich Swann, guys that are in this game linked up with Impact, but that I would like to use at least as a one-off here. So I think either Eddie Edwards or Rich Swann would have a very good match with PJ Black. But the idea is PJ Black would go over and build from there. So, but again, until we actually get Jacob Fatu signed, I won't take the question marks away. Shouldn't overlook anything. this is what I ran into at the very end of the last show, but I was so exhausted of that last show, sleep was about to maybe tap out. I didn't want to just rush to the first of the next month, and in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't, because that allowed me to plan properly with somebody like Jacob Fatu. I can get it maybe on a 6-day notice, but a 2-day notice, forget it. Extremely positive with our 60 or 36 fans in attendance. That's a very American sounding thing to have happen for a Japanese company. She's working with All Japan and Noah. Alright. But essentially this is the section to look through after every day you go through to see if there's anybody that's talking about negotiating with their company. That's like your one opportunity to get in there and potentially pry them away. Okay. So Madman Fulton wins the Impact title. So like the TNA World Heavyweight. Oh, they've got it where it's like that. What I guess they're doing right now, they got like the title is split, and I guess in this game the title is split too. Or they just like brought it back to life. I don't know. It says, so wait, did he beat Moose? Is that what happened? Because I guess that's what's happening in real life in Impact, or was when this started. This is based on Gary Woodard's excellent Killing the Business mod, which is like a modern day representation here within Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. Although, since the time I actually started this game, that was where I kind of froze what he had in place, and then real life went in its own direction, and then the game has gone in the other. Although there has been some stuff that has overlapped. Oh, I missed this. Moxley gone. Okay, that's weird. Well, not my roster, not my problem. So, let's see. I do remember this part. Yeah. Boy. Storyline in real life pregnancies. And they still have this thing that annoys me. If I bring somebody in as a one-off, it makes it like it's a big thing that they're leaving. It's like it's a one-time deal. So I'm just going to go day by day and get hopefully to lock in Jacob Fatu. Get to Sunday and then actually Monday the next day for the first day of August. Let's see. Performance of the night belonged to Jimmy Havoc. Now, how did Jimmy Havoc against Joey Janela? It's a very good match, but how was that performance of the night over either Cody or Brody Lee? Cody and Brody. Would have been interesting to see somebody try and pry away Okada. There aren't many negatives I've run into thus far as playing as a child company with an AI-controlled parent. But one thing is I can't go chasing like top-end money guys. I can't just spend like crazy because they've got somebody in place as the CEO. They assigned Dave Prazak of all people. make-believe tag teams. Yeah, of course, Seth Rollins is staying there. They love him in this game. He's not match ratings. And let's tell you, what's Kijimoto up to? It's like a charity show. We got Cody Hall working the main event of the charity show. What if he? They didn't tell you who drops the fall or who picks up the fall in a tag team match in this, but I just don't think it does. Yeah. Oh, I think it was Jake Lee versus Yota Tsuji. That'd be a fun match, in theory. It's fun to see how it would go. I mean, Tsuji's a young lion, so him doing the honors doesn't hurt because young lions have immunity from being hurt reputation-wise by losses. It's a masterful system. I'm not sure if it just kind of evolved into the young lion system we know of today or how deliberate it was from a psychology standpoint, but it works. To Friday. Calling everybody up. But I would almost guarantee if Regal had the power of Vince McMahon, WWE would be a much more fun company to watch. Let's see. Yeah, Alicia Fox. There she goes to the main roster, which is good because we did our job. We showed that, or provided her a platform where she was able to show that she has the chops to be a good manager. Now, unfortunately, they didn't take Connor up with her because those two had clicked together as a unit, but they have other plans, I'm guessing. Also, I don't know if they're actually going to ever call up anybody that I signed versus somebody that they signed to send to me for developmental. That's part of the mystery of this being a brand new feature in this game. They love to talk about relationships in this game. Like a lot more than 2016. Daisuke Sekimoto to New Japan. All the old rules have fallen. Well, that's awkward. Didn't they just have Jimmy Havoc having the star performance of the night or whatever? And because it's my parent company that has them there, I mean, popularity would be nice. They can send it back down here, but its money's coming up. I guess his contract's up. Because he's a brawler. No, it's a psychopath style. I guess his 70 rating, he wouldn't sign with it. A child company, a developmental company like the one I'm running. Wouldn't make any sense anyway. Leo Nomura. A fantastic match last year against Kento Miyahara in All Japan. See, there's Alicia Fox called up. Is it Shigehiro Irie? I should know the pronunciation on that, but I don't. All right, on to Saturday. Now, You don't have to go day by day like this, but I want to make sure there's not anything that falls through the cracks. Just because I'm trying to learn from this as much as anything. Yoshihashi and Mikey Nichols. They're in line for a strong push. There's chaos branching out. Let's see. There's some sort of press conference or announcement or something coming up in real life in a couple of days for New Japan. I'm hoping it means that they're going to possibly be ready to start running shows again. I don't want them to do it if it's not safe or puts anyone at undue risk, but we'll see. We'll see what they say. It's going to make things really awkward for people trying to get from international destinations in there to work, though. That will provide some challenging circumstance, no doubt, you know. The other three-way matches, oh, I hate those so much. Where it's not like first, where it's, you know, if it's an elimination match. But even in an elimination match, to have the title on the line, it just, there's something I don't like about it as a sports fan. Just because it makes no sense. But it's pro wrestling, so you can give it some, you know, some slack, some latitude. But the big thing that gets me is person A pinning person B to win person C's belt. That's just so stupid, so lazy. It takes the punch out of the title change. You didn't beat the champion to win it. It makes it just feel like a traveling trophy prop of some sorts. And that goes for everybody. I'm talking even New Japan. I love New Japan, but guess what? Y'all are guilty of it too. Or at least you have been. But then again, they're guilty of things like ref bumps and, you know, like to the point of like almost perverse comedy. But it's incredible wrestling, so I can't complain too much. I just feel like the empty arena stuff for WWE has just been, I just found it completely unwatchable. Like to a level below the unwatchable with the horrible creative and the micromanaging to make sure nobody gets over beyond their slotting, all that. I'd love to bring in PCO just because I'm a fan of his, but he's a brawler. That means no. There aren't a lot of restrictions put on me by my parent company, All Elite Wrestling. But I can't hire any brawlers and I can't hire any entertainers. Although AEW can sign brawlers and then send them down to me for developmental. I don't quite get that, but I understand it at least, I think. This is going to sound stupid. Are there really NXT UK Tag Team Champions? There's so many belts in that company. It's like when I hear like the belts in CMLL, but not in a good way. You know? Not to knock CMLL, it's just like I think there's a rhyme and reason for their belts. I just don't understand how they all work. With this, where, you know, if everybody's a champion, nobody's a champion. The brand's the only real star. Too bad they got some tremendous talent under contract. Really smart people too behind the scenes. I mean, between just Gabe Sapolsky and Jeremy Borash, you've got two really sharp minds for the business. But ultimately, like with any job, you got to do what you're told. And I'm sure I can only imagine with some of those people being there, if they weren't there, how much worse it would be if they weren't there to fight for certain ideas. Although I'm not there to see it play out, so that company just boggles my mind at times. And yet it doesn't, because it all goes back to Vince McMahon. Again, more belts. Jake Lee jumping to New Japan. This is free-for-all talent switch that's going on here. All right. Still waiting to hear back from Jacob Fatu. And there are some, I could go now and look, possibly try and get some of these CMLL or Impact guys. I'm going to wait until Monday, though, because I really want to see this stuff for Monday first. All right. This is version of 1.10. They've been very good at coming out with regular updates and improvements. A game like this with so much depth, inevitably there's going to be stuff that will only perhaps show itself over time. All right, this will, yeah. When you get to this point, almost always means yes, they're going to sign. If you decide you don't want them, you don't have to do it, but you do that and they're going to remember that later. In some cases where you're like hiring en masse, trying to get a bunch of like one-offs, that you got a bunch of offers out that complete all worker signings and it takes care of it, which is an improvement over 2016. This is a reminder of what we got here. All right, so we got Jacob Fatu. Take away the question marks. Now he will be doing the honors. I'll be dropping the fall. That way, Primo and Epico going into the tag title match won't have a loss. As far as them personally losing the fall. I haven't decided yet which of these three to have beat Fatu. The problem is, with my company being so small, this may change tomorrow, game-wise, that third month, but 55 seems to be the ceiling as far as how high, popularity-wise, anybody can get because of their affiliation and employment with me. And by employment, I mean independent contractor on a handshake deal. All right. And because I've got this second show I'm planning on doing, which will be 1 week from today, game-wise, the first Sunday of August 2020. But I could go ahead and try and get the names in now, but I'm going to go one more day. I'll go through the list right here. Just see if there's anything of note. So go to the next, see what happens. Because I don't want to like sign some new people and then have, the first of the month they decide I'm too expensive and start, put some heat on me to make some cuts right after I sign a bunch of people. I don't expect it to happen, but I don't know. Again, these three-way matches, Meanwhile, Sabre, like the video game knows he's a junior heavyweight, even though they pretend in New Japan that he's just a heavyweight. But look, give me a rule or a world with its own consistent rules. It's very important. I can believe Toru Yano can win in 90 seconds on a low blow and a roll-up on even the top guys, because it's happened. But it's consistent. It's not like there's an internal logic to it all, which makes it very appealing, along with the incredibly exciting and dangerous too, but very exciting, strong style approach. They're laying them in there. And it's probably New Japan's not the only company where they work stiff. They basically all do. That's part of the appeal. It's tough being a pro wrestler. People I just kind of overlooked Kota Ibushi against Taiji Ishimori. It's just like, oh yeah, there it is. That'd be a heck of a match. I imagine they've wrestled before. I can't pull up cagematch.net on my computer here while I'm streaming this. I mean, I could, but my browser window takes over the screen. It just... to be remembered for later, hopefully. PWG, they've kind of been just like on hiatus. There's no real reason to try and force anything with the many unusual things going on right now in the world. See, I tried to take Hana Kimura out of the game. It wouldn't like actually let me remove her, but I had her like where she was with the company anymore, and she was like working as a color commentator in India. But I guess it didn't quite work. So. I mean, she was still with us when I started this game. Riho is so cool to see in person. She's like exudes likability, and she can really go in the ring too, which helps. And you'd think it might be difficult for somebody as small as Rio to help you suspend disbelief in there, especially against like Nyla Rose, but she's good enough that she can pull it off. Well, hopefully whenever things get back to normal, whenever that's going to be, I'm going to bring Riho back and get her back into the mix in real life AEW. I can be able to steal away Keith Lee. That'd be something the top guys, the parent company, All Elite Wrestling, that'd be their play to make, not mine. So what you got here? Forced Arrow. Okay, he only works Mexico. Think of these weird teams and weird team names. Oh, here's the developmental territories. It's almost like feels like it's some sort of like weird scam because like that company hasn't actually run a show yet, and then send people down and they come right back up. And Oka, Great Ocon. It is Ocarned with the R. This one doesn't have an R. Oh well, whatever the case. Tomoaki Oka. Heading for injury question mark. Alright, so that's going to get us to finally the end of July 2020. We can start month 3. Long last. There's a lot to process. No crazy messages or anything. Let's see. Steve Kern says, out. Look at that main event for the fighting for a Cure 7. Victor from the Ascension, Ethan Carter III, EC3, and Luke Doc Gallows beating Jay Bradley, James Ellsworth, and Bob Holly, who in this game is about to retire. So I brought him in as a one-off. Funny enough, he had a match with Connor, who's on my roster. I kept it very short, though, and it wasn't the best match in the world. Alright, so let's take a look at the finances. I love this skin, the Killing the Business theme, The one thing I don't really like about it is the like lime green with the white letters. That's like my one gripe about it. Otherwise, I dig it. It's creative here in a minute. Let's see. I'll tell you, Christian Casanova, he's been like, for a guy that I hired, trying to, give a few guys opportunities to move up the ladder, and Christian Casanova, he's done a really good job for me. I mean, some of these scores aren't like overwhelming. He does have his limitations, but some of these are also like 6-man tag matches he's in with guys that aren't necessarily top workers. This week I'm going to have him taking on the former Simon Gotch, known here as Simon Grimm. His upcoming show, that's one that's on every Tuesday. I have a show. And then this upcoming one is the Sunday show for this week. So I've tried to make it where I don't have anybody appearing on both shows except for Lio Rush, and that's by design. As far as wrestling, I'll probably have Chris Hero in some sort of a role here for that Cass vs. Brody King match to set up the winner of that challenging. Chris Hero is the next contender for the Launch World Championship. But the idea is that you have this sprint title that has to be defended every week on television, or you have to vacate it. 10-minute time limit. A combination of a CMLL lightning match, one fall 10-minute time limit, with the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Beat the Champ TV title, only without a 5-match limit. Very much how Jeopardy got rid of the 5-time champion having to retire rule. It's kind of like how it is with that. I was kind of hoping the TNT Championship in real life AEW would have a certain time limit. It didn't really go in that direction. Although I've enjoyed AEW so much, especially in light of the limitations of working in front of a very small amount of like other wrestlers and without fans in the building. But I found, while there are things I wish might be different here or there, I enjoy their product so much. It's a lot easier if I can. It's tough for me to turn off the producer in my head. I'm used to, especially with sports broadcasting. But when I'm able to do that and watch AEW, it's more often than not worth its effort. So anyway, there's Christian Casanova, who's been actually still more popular over in New England, but because I'm a developmental territory, it's still like a listed insignificant level. The Southeast is all I'm running right now. So it would be nice to have Casanova run in New England. I guess it's tough as a child company. I've only played as a child company here going into this 3rd month, so I don't know. I never played as one earlier this series. I just never got around to it. There's a lot you can do in this game if you haven't noticed by now. But I don't know, because the next big thing is ultimately that should be something that would be decided by the parent company. Saying, okay, here's somebody that's going to be probably great. We'll send you down to work X number of days. And then we think you're ready to bring you up. And then you get thrown onto into the spotlight. So no big next things, or next big things. No hot prospects. No talk the talk. Lio Rush is good. I have to make sure to give him a script. Him and the Colognes, for whatever reason, they don't do so well without a script. Although sometimes it seems to adjust week to week. Like Alicia Fox, for me, was great as far as her promo. She didn't need scripting or whatever. And then the very last one she had, it was like she got lost on it. But I guess that's sort of like real life. You'll have that sometimes. I think sometimes I almost underestimate the value of Chris Hero's promo ability because he's been such a great main event champion for me. Almost take it for granted, but not quite. TJP is a lot of fun to use, but he's working Impact, and with Impact now seeming we're on every Tuesday. And that's the main reason I'm running this special on a Sunday. So I can finally get the ACH versus TJP matchup. The rematch from a 20-minute time limit draw. I'll give him 30 minutes for this time limit. I'll have ACH win, but I'll make sure it goes more than 20. And normally I keep it to 2 hours for my show. Not counting pre-show, whatever. It has to be a 85-15% split for events, because it's technically not a television show the way this game is configured. So 85 to 15% when you split it over 2 hours is 102 minutes for the matches, 18 minutes for the angles, promos, and videos. Where it says DEV, that's developmental. Those are wrestlers or managers that are sent down to me for training. Right now, I only got 3. PB Smooth, who was injured the first match he had after he got sent down, but I'm bringing him back. I had him back to avenge his loss to Shannon Moore, where he got hurt in that dark match from several weeks prior. And so, this show right here, PB Smooth will be opener against Trip Cassidy. I could have Yay High against Leo Bryan as the opener, but I really don't want to do that because Leo Bryan, the way he's in this game, is not a good fit at all. But, you have to have some enhancement talent. Yay High I want to push, but those things can take time. You can only push so many people. That's always... and then with this, it seems to be a lot more nuanced than 2016 or 2013, meaning if you push the same people the same way, in this you're going to probably have some very divergent results, whereas it's a lot more predictable and thus less realistic with the earlier versions of the game, 2016, 2013, etc. Ring generals Chris Sabin, who I never get to use since he's an Impact. And Sabin in this may be moving, well, I guess it depends on who I get to face. TJ Black, I might move Gulak and Rush versus Velasquez and Sabin above that. But I'll get to that. So Lio Rush, that launch sprint championship, gets him on TV every week with a win, and that big wave of momentum. And the way to make it make sense, as far as why Lio Rush would have to work both shows and nobody else has to, is that Lio Rush is motivated. He wants to team up with Gulak. Special opportunity. Rush and Velasquez had a match. I think they went to a time limit draw. Yeah. That's going back to week 2 of a kind of weird way of writing things. July of the year 2020. It's just the second 2 of the 4 numbers, and then W for week, and then 2 for week 2. So I'll have Sabin, I'll have who can wrestle and also road agent. Gail Kim, great road agent. Could use her. So I'll have the Rock and Roll Express on this show I'll be doing next. I may not have them wrestle because I don't have to have them wrestle every time, but I will have them there for agenting duty, and I won't need to bring them there for that Sunday show because I'll have those road agents that normally are working Impact that are there to work and can actually do their job for once for me as road agents. We'll see how it goes trying to fill out the 2 hours for this show. So who's not? So they're all major stars because of my company. That's really, I'm burying the lead now looking at it. They're trying to convince me to hire Garrett Bischoff. So if you're looking for size, so I'm still at 2. And it's the same everywhere in the world except for India and Oceania, where I don't have any sort of a YouTube clearance. But I think it was like, as I moved from month 1 to month 2, I went from a 0 to a 1. And then within the month, I moved from a 1 to a 2. So it doesn't just automatically move you up, I guess, the first of every month. But I was curious about that. I didn't know. So I waited. some information. Now, I realize this is looking one show ahead, but it has to be done because from a timing standpoint, you need those extra days to lock in. You have wrestling on Sunday. I can't just wait until after Tuesday. It's going to give me to a Wednesday. And if I get something that's going to take me 5 days to get back to me, that's just not going to cut it. So, but again, the emphasis is going to be on my guys, my talent, because guess what? It's my show. So, ACH and TJP, we've had some build to that. Cass versus Brody King, the winner is like I'm not going to put like number one contender match or whatever, because Cass already had one of those and they lost it, but that was however far back. I mean, that's the only match he's lost thus far, beating a solid talent like Brody King, who's already had a title match recently, although he got injured during that match, so he has potentially a claim back at it, but in this case, I'm going to hold off on that for a while. Rather get Big Cass in there, get him a title shot, because I'm not sure how long Big Cass will be sticking around with that company. I'm not sure if he really is the ideal fit to that. But it's 49 popularity, and for a company right now that I'm running in Launch Wrestling that has like a 2 popularity out of 100. It's a long way to go still, so I'll definitely want to use those higher popularity guys as much as possible. Although the crowd there are some wrestlers the crowd just does not want me to use. And there's a penalty to be paid. So, with all that in mind, I would like to get both Edwards and Swan, but I don't want to hire any more Impact people on ongoing contracts because I can't seem to ever use them if they're on a Tuesday. They just take up space. As far as my roster goes, it's already tough enough trying to go through it. This doesn't even have here. I have to scrolling up and down to find guys. The last thing I need to do is add 3 or 4 more that I can't use on a regular basis along with the rest. But that could change over time. And really, I'm way overdoing it as far as how much effort and resources I need to put into this to get from like insignificant to whatever like tiny, where the next level is. I'm way overshooting it, but it's helped with the momentum. So we'll see if that affects things as far as how the popularity and the overall size goes. So, start with Eddie Edwards. .58 popularity. That'd be great. I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, yeah. Let's see. Technician flyer. And really, as long as he's not a brawler or a comedy wrestler. I may have said entertainment before, but that's not accurate as far as what's not allowed. It can be comedy, which is fine, because I don't want comedy wrestlers. Unless it's Toriano. Him, yes. Colt Cabana, okay. Just because he's Colt Cabana, but anyway. So let's see if I can get Eddie Edwards to come in as a one-off. And the match quality's there. They've had it's like Impact in this game turned into like this with a lot of intergender matches. Not like as a novelty, but like as they had some good matches too. But Impact, they're going to be much larger than me for a while, maybe forever, just because of the whatever inherent limits there might be as playing as a child company. So I'm not really in competition with them per se. Okay. One appearance. I mean, I could go with 2 and just wait for him to eventually roll back around as far as options go, but I don't want to do that right now. It's based in the Southeast, which is a positive. That's why the travel cost is not covered. They never seem to sweat it when they're in your territory like that. It's for one appearance. Of course, there were more of the merch money, which they can't have because I'm capped at 10%. See, AEW block. Definitely block 20 if they block 15. So we'll offer them $15.49. One appearance makes me a little bit more willing to spend extra because I'm not locking myself in at that rate. Although it's a handshake deal, so it doesn't have to stick beyond even just a one-off. But then you have to actively end it, and that can cause some issues potentially. Oh, that's just speculative. I haven't run into that yet. $15.99. Some point, Dave Prazak's going to come in and say, "No, that's too much." That kept me from being able to bring in Jeff Cobb a few shows back. $16.25. Man. $16.49. $16.70. $16.99. He's at 59 popularity. 17.15. I want to see when and if my CEO, Dave Prazak's going to step in and say they can't offer any more than that. And if he really doesn't want to sign for one off for, above a certain amount or below a certain amount, he's got his, his limits. It's a firm one. I can just say, okay, we'll do another deal another time, and I'll sign Rich Swann or somebody. We'll go for the 1750. He says no to this. I think we may look elsewhere. All right, no big deal. PJ Black's at a 50, so 55 for Rich Swann would also be the case for PJ Black to beat somebody with a higher overall popularity than him. When I say popularity, just strictly Southeast, because that's the only place I'm running right now, so that's the only place of consideration. Rich Swann coming in. Let's see. Yeah, from the Northwest. Pay the travel. Starting off at $1,300 even, which I think is higher than what I started at with Eddie Edwards. But that doesn't necessarily matter. $1,350. $1,400. They really want that merch money. $1,450. Hey, there we go. So it's one appearance for Rich Swann. Perfect. Keep the question marks, but that's going to be... I'm going to keep this in its spot, even though there's an argument to be made that you might move that one above Big Cass and Brody King, but I say no. First of all, because PJ Black and Rich Swann are probably going to tear the house down. And so... But because the Big Cass versus Brody King winner is going to get the next shot at the Launch Pro Wrestling World title held by Chris Hero, have that at least semi-main, because the main event's this big grudge match, ACH versus TJP. So that's one spot filled. Typing in chat here, so there's another playing. It's Launch Pro Wrestling, Child Company, under AI-controlled parent company, All Elite Wrestling. So there's that. Okay, so Rich Swann, take that name off of there since he's already got a deal that looks like it's going to be going into place. So for Petey Williams, just because I'm people that I can't use regularly doesn't mean I like job them out. So I can bring in the CMLL guys up. I'm sure they've got a high flyer. You can see there I've got some options. Bandito's the best. They're actually taking it back. Soberano Jr. $660 with a 45 popularity. Not a bad value. Better than Cavanario. But again, it's the popularity within the Southeast, not within Mexico. So it's a little bit different because Cavanario hasn't worked as much in the States. But I still want to book him here if I can. He's freaking Cavanario's great. Works for CMLL. Should include to hire. I got $1,000, but that's more like what his CMLL deal is. $1,400. Bring in Bandito. I might save him for later. Although I don't know. He's got a couple of championships there. If he'll negotiate with me, let's see. I'd say Bandito's talented enough. He's 25. There's a reason he's got deals with all these companies, because he's valuable. So you don't have to lock him in at a higher rate, that's okay. Now, the downside is if I'm going to use him, I got to fly him in from Mexico, which means more expense. But because my plus minus ledger gets reset at 0 every month because my parent company pays for it, it certainly helps things from a financial standpoint, having a plan, although I try and treat this like it was a real company and not spend foolishly or recklessly. All right. Unlimited appearances, of course, we got to pay to fly him in. That'll cost some money. That's okay. Say $1,400. He's probably going to want more. Yeah, 55. We'll go with this. You never know. Sometimes they'll take it right off the gate, right out of the gate. But probably not. $1,450. $1,500. $1,545. $1,575. At some points, it's not going to be worth it. Petey Williams is good and all. I'm just bringing in Bandito to put him over, and then I can't use Petey Williams much anyway because he's working Impact, and that's going to give them right of first refusal, and they're deciding to run every Tuesday. It's going to put me in a bit of a bind. So that's okay. I don't have to spend that much money right now. Bandito will still be out there later, in theory. I would love to bring him in, but I like to have him challenge against like Lio Rush or something, or take on Chris Hero or somebody, as opposed to just, middle of a card. How much do I want to pay to bring in somebody to, and I don't know how well he and Petey Williams necessarily mesh. It'd probably be great, but I don't know. But like I'm pain to bring in Rich Swann. That music reset gets me every time. Alright, so I think we're going to X out of here. Actually, one more. We'll go $15.99. No. And that's fine. So we'll go to the next one on the list. El Sobrano Jr. Unwilling to negotiate. Oh, brutal. Brutal. I thought I checked all that stuff, but I guess not. Well, okay. No wonder that number looked too good to be true. All right, let's see. Kevin Ario. Caveman actually be a 43. Some of these I write in the numbers, but there's fluctuation, which is a good thing since you're not just locked in at a number and you're stuck there. There's also 1,400, but that was their price. It's actually dropped down. Like it's going to charge me potentially less. Although there's also the whole flying them in thing. Young star, let's see. When I say for Cavanario is 43. It's tough because CMLL runs every Tuesday, but you know what? I mean, if I'm aside from just being a pain as far as having an extra name that I can't regularly use, having Caveman able to be used at any potential point where there's not a conflict time-wise makes it tempting. I wouldn't want to do that with too many, but he's a young talent. So let's see. Oh, look at that. So 1,300 for Cavanario. Gotta pay those travel costs, but that's unlimited appearances. All right. So plans changed. Sorry, P.D. Williams. In some ways, it would be more interesting to see Caveman against Bestia or a tag here, but I think I mean, in theory I could put him against PJ Black, but I don't want to beat Caveman. I don't want to beat PJ Black, not this week. So luckily it's not very difficult to change things. I'll put the question marks around it to make sure I remember that he is not yet officially signed. This is a 50 or 43. All right. There are a few ways I can do this as far as wrestlers on my roster. It doesn't have to be CMLL people. I can hire a couple other guys that is bringing as one-offs. Just having that Sunday where those company wrestlers are generally not off limits per se, but just not available. It's an opportunity. Now, Shocker's 48, so that's a little different. 34 popularity, so that's lower end as far as the U.S., but it's not like it's that wide of a variance. Impact next to this for Josh Woods, but in theory I gotta beat Shocker. It's kind of a weird matchup. He's least the undercard is not going to kill me, yay or nay, or anything. Just a little bit of a little something different. All right, so get the handshake deal with CMLL. Okay, he's not willing to negotiate. Well, that solves that problem. But Teton, I'd love to bring in Teton, but unwilling or unable to negotiate. Okay. What else? Sagrado. Stifsky. Ah, not America. I should have checked that part. Not active in America. They can't work in USA. Well, that, yeah, trim the list. I can't bring in Banderas because he's a brawler. And that's something not allowed by my parent company, AEW. Mystico's expensive. For 48, well, he's not willing to negotiate anyway, so it's really immaterial. Doesn't have to be CMLL though. They have a lot of people that are under exclusive contracts, so that's why there's only so many that are available to hire. Contemplate as far as the Impact guys between Adam Thornstowe and Chase Stevens. Stevens in particular, well, I guess he's a brawler, so forget that. This would just be a one-off. Somebody will bring in and plug in against. He's at 27. Yeah, he would actually be quite beneficial. I get him because, I mean, 39 to 27 is still a bit of a range, but it's doable. So we'll negotiate. I mean, his match history, it's not like he's had a bunch of 60 and 70 matches in here, but he's also been like hanging out a bunch with Tommy Dreamer and the Rebels. There's Petey Williams. So just a one-off offer. We look at $100. It's easy. Now we'll have to fly him in from the Southwest. He'll always insist on that. Maybe let's do it for $100, which is the one appearance. That was easy enough. All right, so. Question mark, Adam Thornstowe. That's a 27. Now I thought I'd be able to bring in some CMLL guys here, but there are workarounds. Working USA to hire. Style, luchador. Let's see what we find. I thought about using Dogga, but he's got a torn bicep, like a lot of other people in this game. I've had some bad luck with that. Seems like an odd output of money to fly in Damien 666 for a $9 payday. I could team up Damien 666 with Bestia 666, but that's not what I was thinking of doing here. I'm trying to go for younger talent in general. I mean, developmental company. You want to have some veterans in there because that's how the younger and up and coming wrestlers that are still learning are able to improve. Getting in there with some wily veterans. I could always bring in El Hijo del LA Park. Money-wise, it's fine. That's a big part of it, as much as anything here. So let's see. Negotiate. Just a one-off. I have to fly him in from Mexico, but that's fine. And we're good. So that'll be one of the. Well, let's see. 17. For these undercard matches, it's not as important to have, to be bangers. It's not an NXT takeover from 3 or 4 years ago when every match was basically great. So, Hijo de LA Park. He's like a 17 though in popularity. Have El Hijo del LA Park team with El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. Let's see, works Noah. I should probably check with these guys before I just start signing them to make sure they're actually available for me when the show got lined up here. Should be fine. Well, let's check with El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. Okay, I cannot use him because he's working Noah. Glad I checked. And normally it wouldn't be a problem to have him work for me and for Noah, but not when Noah's running that same day. There's Flamita. Popularity seems really strikingly low. The price. Oh, let's see. He's leaving. He may be going somewhere else though. He's confirmed to be leaving PWG. He's confirmed to be leaving ROH. He's going somewhere. $80 a show. Sure where he's going, but if I get Flamita to come in at that price, it's a steal. Which probably means there's something more to this. Hey! That works for me. Flamita on the cheap. And I realize he has some fluctuation there as far as popularity goes. Looking at a 20 level. Bestia 6-6 against Flamita. It is a 20. Okay. Probably the question marks around since I haven't officially signed. I'm just offered. Flamita the same. Right. Based in the southeast, let's see. I've got Zenshi on my roster as well. Quite a few guys with MLW I'm also signing. Seems to be working out all right because MLW runs their day and I don't run their day. You never know. Schedules can always change, but for now it's working out decently. And I don't prevent those wrestlers from being able to work for MLW. It's just they can make a living working for them and for us for now. Although $80 a show, it's some of this isn't like top notch, but okay, we don't have them in a hardcore or a Japanese Purosu side match. He's 23 though, he's young, and I think if you're going to go with talent you're looking to develop within reason, the younger the better as far as long-term development goes. Now, it's a handshake deal, so it's not like I've got some sort of like 10-year developmental super plan. Southeast up to Flyman, $80. Let's see if he takes it. He will. Gino Medina. All right. Gino Medina. We say he is a 18. So if we get all those people in, and we should, we're good with that. We've already got Chicken Fatu in place. And I'm sure I'll work a pre-show match with, on my entire roster assigned yet. I got like Mike Seidel, I can have wrestle somebody. And I don't ever actually booked anything for Coda Brazil. One thing I did before the stream started is I went ahead, so I wouldn't forget later, and split Coda Brazil away from Joey Eastman. I tried him out as a pairing when Brazil teamed up with Bestia 666, and the computer was kind of like, yeah, these two really don't get along. So that's already been zapped. For now, I'll just keep Eastman with Bestia. So he actually won't be working this particular show coming up, but he'll be working the one at the end of the week, which is fine. It actually is fitting. There'll be some refs and some road agents that'll double up, but trying to keep it where it's separate as much as possible, just if nothing else to emphasize what Lio Rush is going through. So my thought is, okay, Lio Rush is going to go like Jesse Goddard, who's a much larger opponent, a Big Brother fame for U.S. television viewers. Impact more recently. So we'll see. Lio Rush has been able to get some good matches out of people that you wouldn't think he would. And those are people that had lower popularities than Goddard's. But there's challenges with larger opponents if the crowd doesn't necessarily want to see Goddard's there. But maybe Rush can overcome it. That's part of the fun's figuring out and finding out. Keeping Casanova strong. Have him work here. They can not double him up down here. My storylines add Briggs to Cass versus Cody Hall. I think I already did that, but I'm going to double check that now. The larger rectangle for 2020 versus 2016 as far as how much you got on the screen. It's a lot of information, but the more you play, the more comfortable you get with it. Figure out where everything is, at least in my experience, and then it makes it a lot easier to kind of maneuver around. I'm not. Man, I'm the worst at checking this stuff, I guess. As up there to be streaming total or a super mega baseball. I didn't realize I didn't change that out. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, so 2 hours of the broadcast, I have the proper game listed. I was playing Super Mega Baseball 3 on my PS4 the other night. I guess it remembers that here when you do that. Anyway, fixed now. here I only have 7 matches actually booked for the show itself. That's going to be taking place tomorrow, game-wise. But you know what? I can always go live. Let me see. Dakota Brazil, has he had a match yet with Mike Seidel? I don't think so. I'm less concerned about other companies and more about here. Not that it matters that much, because this is where I teamed up Bestie and Kodo, with them both having Eastman as the manager. Who's one of the people sent down from AEW parent company to get some developmental work. But it didn't work, so I've now split off Eastman. He'll just be with Bestie. So... that could be the opener. Maybe Dakota Brazil over somebody. I don't know. Popularity isn't super high, but again, I don't have to have just sky high popularity for a given wrestler. My company is seen as so insignificant at this point that it's like everybody's a major star. The way that it is treated. I think what I'll do is just bring this over here as a pre-show match. I could have the Rock and Roll Express work the pre-show. The idea though would be to have them work with somebody to team up, and most of my guys with the roster being split up. I don't want to have the Rock and Roll Express have to work every week in a dark match. So I'm actually okay if we don't do that. Alright. I'm just going to check on that storyline. So we'll get the ACH versus TJP match on Sunday. So now with Alicia Fox out of the company, I'll just... So I'm trying to... Let's see. Add Briggs to Cass versus Cody Hall. So I can take Big Cass out. Let's rename it. Josh Briggs versus Cody Hall. We're playing off of this one in the main event. Tomorrow night's show, the 6-man tag match, building up toward a forthcoming World Tag Team Championship defense by FTR against the Colognes. Got Lio Rush in there. He doesn't have to be there. He's wrestling a lot of different people in a lot of different scenarios with his sprint championship defenses every week. But it's a great opportunity here, again with him as the only guy working both the shows as far as wrestlers go. With Gulak and him being in the same storyline, it makes sense to have them team up here, and that will advance it in theory. Storylines aren't terribly important with the way that my company is set up, but they are important. You've got to have them. Right, so we've added Briggs. And really I want to get to spinning off Chris Hero with Big Cass, have them start their own. no reason to keep Hero in there. Then I'll alter, just rename it to Brody King Connor. Promo. I wouldn't want to telegraph it though. Let's see, Brody King. This would almost be where I'd want to like fold in big casts if it'll let me. I'm not sure with some of this, like at some point it'll tell me no, you can only do so many changes to a storyline in X amount of time. So I go Brody King, Big Cass, Chris Hero. I think that's a play. I guess you can only be in one storyline at a time, which is fine. It's actually the way I want it here. Okay, whoa. Oh, this is the first name. Like, wait, put an ACH and Amazing Red in there. What's with that? I guess Red's somebody I could use on this second show if he's also a Impact guy. No, he's not. Okay, well, disregard that. Alright, so that's Brody King and Connor. Add Big Cass. Add Chris Hero, remove Connor. Why leave Connor there for now? I don't care. Hey Ozzy, how's it going? Trying to get the old storyline thing set up before I move on to the next show. I've got 2 shows coming up in this week here. It's because Impact started running the same night that I run, and I've got some guys that have deals with both me and Impact, but they've got the right of first refusal on them all because they're a larger company. I'm doing well, thanks. Yeah, PJ Black. I'm lining him up. I've got Rich Swan. I should be able to finalize with him. I got the deal worked out coming into basically. I think it's a one-off with him to put over PJ Black. So essentially, I'm trying to keep these 2 shows as separate as possible with the talent, except for Lio Rush, and there's a larger overall story arc to that. Just the challenges of having to defend that sprint title every week, and then wanting to team up with Gulak to the point of working a tag team match on that show, and then coming back that next Tuesday and defending, well, probably a time limit draw. I put him there with somebody like really good. With the idea being the storytelling is that, you know, he's getting worn down, I'm going to defend this title, and then at some point he'll lose it. What is that? To Stroom the Garm. I'm not familiar with that. Oh. I got you. All right, so Connor is in there. We'll add Big Cass. We'll add Chris Hero, if it'll let me. We'll leave Connor in there for now. I'll leave, this is Brody King and Connor. But I'm having Connor, he's one of the few I'm having not work either show because he just had his manager leave the promotion. He just lost a couple of high-profile matches after getting a big push. Oh, okay, so your company was set up like for the entertainment and how over somebody is versus the in-ring performance. And yeah, and those company settings can be tough. I try to make mine emulate all elite wrestling as much as possible, but there are a couple of them which is, I think the way that I do it's better. As a developmental company in particular. Although the women's developmental side still hasn't actually had a show yet, which is weird. But that's the kind of thing I was curious about how it was going to play out in this game. Oh, you talking for the tag match with Drew? Yeah. I normally put the team that I plan on winning first, just because it's easier to keep track of. Sabin, I don't get to use every week because he's working Impact, so I'll probably have Gulak beat Sabin. Because Rush, he doesn't need the win. He wins all the time because he's defending that title every week. 55 is basically the ceiling at this point as far as how popular somebody can get in my company at this point. There are some guys with higher numbers, but that's because of being elsewhere. Well, I think it worked out well for Drew Gulak with his contract expiring and then getting brought in real life and then being right back by WWE. Seemed to work out decently for him. All right, so I think we're good to go ahead into this next one here. Of course, you keep adding people, and then but that's like, it's almost like one of my signatures with this game is inevitably have a ton of guys that are under either handshake deals or just like I would in real life. You don't have to have the same 12 guys over and over. However many. Whereas you mix it up a bit, opens up all sorts of possibilities that wouldn't be there otherwise. All right. More of the zaniness from the world of Japanese wrestling, where in this game apparently the whole loyalty thing's done. At least it feels like that. Just with the sheer volume of guys jumping ship from one side to the other. Alright. Guess it'd be a decent chance to look at my finances real quick. It's nice because it's just written up as development. And that's coming from the parent company, so current finances 0, which beats being in the hole. Well, I guess if you add those two numbers, within range of 400,000 to the bad, but that's the child company with the developmental. And I am bringing in some money. This is sponsorship income. Kenny done bulked up a bit. I've thought about it. I guess I haven't given him a singles match yet. So I've had him team up quite a bit with Jesse Goddard's. But I've got Goddard's going for the sprint title on this show, so there might be a place for him. Yeah, Goddard's in real life, he's got a great drop kick. And it's funny though, because I know him from, not personally, but I know him from seeing him first on the television show Big Brother. He was on there for the US version for a couple seasons. And I think he was trying to do like kind of like what The Miz did as far as parlay that into wrestling, and I mean he has. Similar to Austin, Luchasaurus, most people would know him as now, when he was on. Oh, okay, I just overlooked this right here. Okay, so PB Smooth is getting called up. Well, he did get hurt for a while. So I guess now that he's back on the mend, I can have him in here for a few weeks. And I'll beat Trip Cassidy, because Trip Cassidy hasn't done much at all for me. So we'll see how he does with a couple of wins. We'll put him in there to lose, but maybe he'll challenge Rush for a match. I don't know. We'll see. All right. What a bizarre main event. Bray Wyatt and Jinder Mahal beating Finn Balor and Tommaso Ciampa. Why do I think that's going to be like the real life? Damian Priest beating Ricochet. Poor Ricochet. So misused. But he had another going in there. That was going to be a possibility. How that company is. All right. Seems like every night with the G1 with New Japan, the star of the show, Will Ospreay. IVR points. I'm sure I saw that before, but it didn't really register with me what that meant. They love their three-way matches with these simmed. Oh, four-way match. Ugh. I mean, those matches can be great, but it's like special occasion at best. At least the way I like it. Although it seems like from the games I've streamed online between this and Fire Pro and whatever else, other people seem to like that more than me. Kidney contusion. I've forgotten if I was not to think of this for later. I'm not going to bring him in now. Well, 6 days. But some of those New Japan Pro Wrestling Young Lions at the LA Dojo, run by Katsuyori Shibata out in Long Beach, Los Angeles. They're open to $90 a show. So just keep it half a private party. It was Isaiah Cassidy's contractual status. I find it strange that I have to go to this particular screen to see that my next event's tonight. Oh, at least it's written in yellow, so it does kind of try to make it jump out. There's my debt that just gets back to even. See, last month you managed to break even. And by managed, that means the parent company paid for it. Okay. All right, so we're going to book tonight's show. We've already laid it out. 6-man tag main event. We're not going to run the Voltage Lounge. We're not running Tri-State. Although, yeah, we're going to do let's see, absent workers. People working Impact. Or Slater's injured. Locker room controls. Metal. Uh-oh. I like the way it does tell you if it's likely or unlikely that a given pair of wrestlers might actually respond well to positive meddling. In 2016 and earlier versions of this game, it was more of a shot in the dark. Casanova and Facade. No effect. Alright, now I have to go through to the TV. Broadcasters. And you have to know to click this letter right here, this word, even though there's no reason for you to think that you should have to. That's what you have to do. Use this broadcaster, back over here. Use this broadcaster, back over here. Same as it ever was. Zip through it, and then that's that. Save the selection. I guess I'll be able to renegotiate in 30-something days, so around the time for the start of the next month. But I imagine it's going to be redoing the deals with YouTube Regional. Under coverage. Let's see. $42. Which means I might have to pull that up later as far as where you said the different language. Unless I just missed what you were talking about for under coverage. It might have been like a given country if there's like a... I wish I would have noticed it before I zipped past it, because it would have been helpful to answering the question. Let's see. Pick the best option. Miami Beach. Miami Beach host can hold 10,000 people. They're expecting 39. So at some point, when I get to the point where it's like 100 or 200 person capacity venue, it's 300, 275, 200. I think that's the lowest one they have. That's still not. It's $200 to run there. But the generic place, it's just as easy. Just a generic venue. It's really, if I get to like 100, where it's like, you know, half capacity, sure. But until then, for just having the money, that part doesn't matter. It's just the idea of running this already small building, then having 39 people there versus the generic, which is kind of it's southeast, which it is. That's what we're going with. Yeah, I think once I walk in those broadcaster controls, I can't even like look at what I already chose. So to find the answer to that later, as far as the coverage in different language thing goes. All right. Have the booking laid out. Let's go ahead and try and put this together as quickly as possible. Six-man tag main event. World champ, world tag champs. It's the debuting Jacob Fatu, Primo and Epico, who will be challenging next for the tag team championship. Either way, I'm not going to bury him. ongoing contract. Okay, there's where I found it. And with that in mind, I'll make it an open match. I'm going to have this eat up quite a bit of time. This will be like a 23-minute match. Simple enough. Hero, and I need to really take the dots out of it. FTR, no dots, no abbreviation, whatever. Again, because of all my other official road agents being over at Impact on this evening show, except for Gregory Helms, and working from a bit of a hamstring position. My referees, Kyoto's my ace, we'll stick with him. And the refs will have to work both shows. Maybe not all of them, but that's not a big problem. It shouldn't be, at least. So road agent notes. I think actually giving it to Dax. Beating Fatu. He would benefit from it. I don't want to have Primo beaten or Epico beaten because otherwise, if you lose in a match against the tag champs and you're directly pinned or made to submit, even though if you have a match lined up, it's kind of like, more dicey. All right, Ozzy, sounds good. Yeah, so I'll catch you later. If not, then on the next stream. If not before this one's over. Although with 2 shows to go, I've got a way of getting on like a long-winded streak of yapping about something. 20 minutes has flown by. I didn't even realize it. All right. And for the moment, be just be putting this together, not pasting it together, but just lining it all up. So we'll have, let's see, let's get the lowest of the 3 of Dax, get the win. 5-2 with a loss, but we're gonna notice an open match. I could put in there to keep Primo and Epico strong, but that's not really necessary. The open match should be more than beneficial. I don't think anybody's going to take a stunt bump here. Yeah, they almost always say you have to be at least a medium in size, which is the same size you need to reach in order to get a television show. That's fine. It's them going through like a burning table or taking a crazy bump versus not is going to have zero bearing as far as how much my popularity grows in X amount of time. All right. And again, it's not just a loaded card as far as long matches go. Only 7 matches really, and then I really don't want Leo Bryan on my main card just because his character in the game has not performed well for me. But he's somebody that Yehai can beat. They never had a match before. I try and heat him up a little bit. Just with a specific effort of trying to keep keep everybody from having to work both shows with the exception of Lio Rush. That's the idea, nothing else. So, whoa, what did I just do here? Save. I was going to note that it's Kyoto and Helms, as it should be for the main event. I'd love to be Gail Kim, but she's working Impact tonight. She'll probably end up road agenting my main event for the Sunday show, though. At least in theory. So. Kind of interesting. I'm not sure what to expect from Lio Rush here. I'm gonna have him go 9 minutes. It's a 10-minute time limit for the title. I it is that, with Rush, everybody taking their shots at him every week, and then working that tag match. I might just keep the belt on him for a while, but the idea of the sprint title is that it can change hands fairly regularly. It's the floating title status, so it can be a lower mid-card guy that challenges, like Casanova's a possibility. At least popular enough now where it wouldn't be that much of a stretch. All right, so go Lio Rush, Jesse Goddard's. Sprint championship matches have a 10-minute time limit, so they'll go 9 minutes. Lio Rush, decisive win. That's really all I need there. Book this segment. So it's 102 minutes of matches, 18 minutes of promos, angles, videos. The first 2 matches are in, although I should have paid attention. Ricky Morton. Try not book Corderas, but it doesn't really matter. We'll go Sinclair. Maybe I won't book Corderas for this. Sinclair and Morton. Right. Now you can go through at the end of it before you lock everything in and then assign your refs and road agents. Especially, it'll be a viable option for people that distracted. My cable box about to do that overnight reset thing. Christian Casanova, Simon Grimm. Grimace from a stamina standpoint. It's all right. Casanova. Bit of a wide range, but all right. Won't make him do anything too crazy. Like 12 minutes. A little bit of time. Let's see what they do. Casanova getting the win. But we have an open match. A decisive victory. Oh, look it. So we're to 51. I guess I can finally have the debut of El Phantasmo on this show. I've been working the G1 Climax tour. I guess I'm going back over. This is one way where the game's a little bit unrealistic. If you have somebody that's in the middle of a tour in Japan, to book them as a one-off for a show in the Southeast United States, and then right back over for the next G1 show. But let's see. Schedule. As you can see, he's able to squeeze me in his busy schedule. I can also possibly book him that Sunday show, but I'm trying not to double it up, and it would make more sense to use him here. And Facade is not a highly popular wrestler per se, but he is talented. So while there's that discrepancy from a popularity standpoint, at least with this being such a small company, major star. Both seen as major stars, so hopefully it won't be too off-putting to the audience or whatever to have guys that might be perceived as very different from an overall perception standpoint, but are still both perceived as major stars, if that makes any sense. Let's see, stamina, Facade, pretty good. El Phantasmo, even better. That flashiness. Something too dangerous. Steal the show. Let's check on consistency before I do that. Probably won't do that here. Phantasmo. You know what? Let's give him a chance to steal the show. I have to use a storytelling match. And these can always go in the pre-show if I want them to. But I can see like that Cody Hall Barrington Hughes against Jimmy Lloyd Josh Briggs tag match. I mean, a storytelling match. But for here, we'll get them. You know, I'll just let them do the high flying thing. That was the whole idea to begin with. That's why I'm setting it up like this. Maybe we'll go 13 minutes. I want to make it too taxing for them. How's he doing physically? Very low fatigue. That's with him working over in Japan. None. He's on a more reasonable schedule from a physical strain standpoint. Alright, so the debuting ELP gets the win. We'll make it an open match though, it's fine. But a decisive one. And high spots. Book it. Well, I don't want it to be an ELP debut where it looks like he's struggling, but I still think it's okay to do it this way. Facade at 33. Same age as El Phantasmo. We'll give it a shot and see what happens. The test for El Phantasmo, a test for Facade. And get to 120 minutes. There is some latitude that's offered, but I'm trying, just like my years working in television news and years past and current working as a sports broadcaster, there is no open-ended as far as a true television time slot. Sports events, yes, they go until they're finished. Even though pro wrestling, I think it's best presented as true sport. Sometimes from a television standpoint, you have to figure out what makes most sense from a business standpoint. Hawkins and Ryder get a win over No Way Jose and Max Stardom. Hey D-Pop, how's it going? It's kind of a weird spot with the Hawkins and Ryder. And know those are their WWF names or WWE names, and that they're not using those now post company, but at the time I started this, that's what I had locked in there. So that's, I just take my word for it. It's easier than me trying to go through and undo it now. Either way, you know who they are. So, I mean, No Way Jose and Max Stardom isn't exactly a top-notch opponent, but because I've got 2 shows that I'm running within this 1 week span, I'm trying to only have Lio Rush wrestle on both shows, and that's because it's part of the storytelling of how his championship run's going. Alright, so Hawkins and Ryder, No Way Jose and Max Stardom. You know, it's tough for tennis. I've never called a tennis match before. I played it. That's the one sport I was actually halfway decent at. Like, I love like American football. I love playing it. I love broadcasting it. But I can't run fast enough. I wasn't, you know. But tennis, that was the exception. I think is, yeah, because if you're like a 5-set, you know, a major men's tournament match, you get somebody that wins in straight sets quickly. You know, especially with delays or whether with weather or other factors, it can go on and on. And so that it's tough. They have to have a lot of like standby programming and other matches to go to, that sort of thing. I mean, especially any tournament that's got like the lack of a super tiebreaker at the end, where you just have to keep playing until you get a winner in that 5th and decisive set. And that can go on a long time, and you got a couple of like really, really good servers. But anyway. Stamina is actually better than some of the other guys. More variance there for No Way Jose, but great for Stardom. Okay, all right, guys, that's what you can do. 13 minutes. So we'll keep Hawkins and Ryder strong. Just give them the win. By the book, you can keep it strong. Let No Way Jose take the loss. As the music resets, we'll designate as an open match. It doesn't have to be too complicated here. Ryder to win, Jose to lose. Open match, which helps out No Way Jose and Max Stardom. And it doesn't, like, I mean, Stardom's at a 20 here. They're clearly different levels. But it's a mid-card tag match, it'll be fine. Yeah, that Eisner one, that was the one. From Wimbledon, yeah. Maybe a match that takes days to finish. As much as I love, like, you know, where it can go on, like NHL hockey, where they have like the playoffs, it could be over in 5 seconds or 5 hours. It was 2016. So gosh, this was, I guess, yeah, it was 4 years ago. Time flies. A triple overtime NHL hockey playoff game in Nashville. And the girl I was dating at the time, she had to go to work the next morning, but she was a trooper. She was hanging in there, tried. It was a lot of fun. It's a playoff hockey game, you know, NHL hockey in Nashville, which years ago would have seemed absolutely nonsensical to even suggest, but the city has really embraced the sport. It's been great. But as much as it's fun to watch on TV, when it can go on forever and ever, it's not so much fun when you got a girlfriend that's got to get up at 7 the next morning. But so we ended up leaving at the end of the first overtime when it was like Nashville and it was Anaheim, and Nashville won in triple overtime. But point being, I'm glad we left when we did, because it's been even crazier getting out of there. But that's what comes to mind as well when I think of like sports events that can go on a long time, or others where it's just the nature of, you know, overtimes with limited time limits. You're usually going to get a quicker win. That's a good question. If last year was the first one without any Canadian teams in the playoffs, I don't know offhand. there was a time when I paid attention like every sport in the newspaper, and I would see this, remember it. And maybe just getting older, I don't remember those sorts of things as well off the top of my head. But that might have been the case because I don't know offhand, like the Canucks or the Leafs, or but that might have been the case. I mean, it's because they've added more teams, and they still have the same 16 total playoff spots, but they've had that for a long time. They've added teams, and if every team makes the playoffs, it makes the regular season rather meaningless. So I get that, but it's definitely a sport that Canadians love, but it has definitely grown as well here in the U.S. I mean, I used to, when I was in high school, it's like early mid 90s, go to Nashville Municipal Auditorium, go see the Nashville Knights ECHL, which isn't like the high end minor league, but like lower. And then Nashville, with a lot of hockey fans from Detroit that moved down here for the Saturn plant that opened down in Spring Hill, just south of Nashville. I brought a lot of hockey fans to the area. This brand new arena they built, and it all worked out. And now we've got hockey here, and it's great. So yeah, that's tough though. I mean, it doesn't seem right for there to not be any Canadian teams in the NHL playoffs. Of course, at this point now, I'm just anxious for any sort of hockey if it can happen in this absolutely crazy world of 2020. So we're to 81 minutes, and that's going to work, I think, because I have to get 102. But each of the next two matches will take off 2 minutes apiece for the non-wrestling time. So that gets us to 85. So from 85 to 102, I can get a little extra time to this tag match. It'll be a storytelling style anyway. PB Smooth versus Trip Cassidy doesn't need to go 10 minutes or anything, but I can give it a decent amount of time. And we'll be on our way. Alright, so Cody Hall and Barrington Hughes. I've had Jimmy Lloyd and Josh Briggs team up periodically, but ultimately it's going to be Briggs the one that's getting called back up because PB Smooth's on his way up, and I maybe I overlooked Briggs as far as the call-ups go, but I don't think he'll be down here just a whole lot longer. So I've already had him team up several times with Jimmy Lloyd. That's just undercard tag team. You need some of those. All right. I need to remember to put in the full names for these. I mean, Lloyd and Briggs, I can figure out who it is, but when it doesn't match, it annoys me. I'm actually get Barrington Hughes the pin and see what happens. All the stamina. Well, that's not bad for Cody Hall. You know, Barrington Hughes. He's a big guy, though. I mean, that's what you expect. He's a super heavyweight. And then you got Jimmy Lloyd. He's actually got really good stamina. And Josh Briggs, not so much. But that's okay. There's going to be a storytelling element. Because I have to have one of those on every show. But this would not be the match to choose, you know, steal the show. I could go car crash, but it would just be a bad match that would risk injury. If I have to do one of those, I'll find another spot for it that puts fewer guys at risk. So we'll see what happens if we get Barrington Hughes to win here. The loss will be taken by... Lloyd actually is... And these numbers next to the names of the popularity for the Southeast in particular, because that's the only place I run thus far is a child company. And that's going to be the case for quite a while, I would imagine. Anyway, so we'll have Jimmy Lloyd take the loss. Open match style storytelling. they're not like. I like in this game that you don't have to like go through and jump through hoops to make them happy as far as what constitutes a match with a storyline. I like to be close enough. I don't remember putting the decisive win. A count out or something disappointing. Make my fans angry. Storytelling. Hughes wins. Lloyd takes the loss, but it's an open match. Decisive finish. We passed the 90-minute marks of the yellow. Although we still need that car crash match in there. After all I talked before about making sure the refs and the road agents were set up ahead of time, I'm going to have to do that after I've got everything set up. But there's not too much more to go. So 94 minutes. I mean 6 minutes for Yehai over Leo Bryan with 2 added on for the non-wrestling match time. And that's, I guess, where we need to be. Add match. There we go. I thought it was going to click through there for me. Uh-oh. The game does not approve of my booking. What's going on with my mouse or what? I clicked on that 3 times, it seemed like. Alright. So PB Smooth is getting called up, but we'll give him the win here. And again, we'll go through and fix that for everybody once. I guess once I'll lock in this this match and get us to 102 minutes. So we'll give PB Smooth the win. Open match. He's not going to protect Trip Cassidy with a flash pinfall. So I got us to 102. Before I put in the angles and the videos and all, I'm going to go through and get the officials worked out. So we had Sinclair and Morton here. And I really have to do something as far as hiring a couple of road agents that don't work for Impact or somebody that's going to be running. If I find a couple of the guys that aren't working for anybody, that'd be ideal, so I'll have them. But the Rock and Roll Express turned out a really good road agent in this game. But you can't assign them that title, or at least I can't. And that's probably because I didn't do that initially when I brought them in. That's been part of the learning process as well. Although I'm not 100% sure about that either, because maybe they would have said no. Even though they still do it when I ask them to, and they do a good job with it. So we had Kyoto and Helms, and that went Todd Sinclair and Ricky Morton. Let's see for Casanova and Grimm. Go Mickey Henson. I'll just say if Corderis, presumably I don't like overlook it, having ref one match like happened a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's $220 that the parent company's going to pay either way, but I can't try to present or look at this as if I'm going to be actually doing this legitimately, as if how I would do it in real life. So Mickey Henson, we can let Chris Hero agent this one. Henson Hero. Whoa. I want to just read. I was trying to click away from this and hit auto name. See if I exit out. Oh, come on. Maybe I did this before, I didn't notice. Okay, but more importantly, Hawkins and Ryder. I'm even on this match. All right. Okay. This should be the fourth match here. Okay, it is good. That's where I'm thinking ahead to the second week of August to have a draw with Lio Rush as he gets more and more exhausted having to keep defending the title and working the Sunday show. So this will end up being Justin King and Robert Gibson. Right now, this match. Go Kyoto. A little Ricky Morton. Mixed up a little. And it really doesn't matter with this stuff in the grand scheme of things all that much, but to be a stickler just because that's the way I always learned it in real life, either producing a newscast or a sports broadcast or a sports, like a live shot. Like early on in my TV news career, the equivalent of being a young lion working in the business. Let's see. And we'll just go Sinclair Helms. The easiest way to do this. Try and overthink the process. Smooth and Cassidy. Let's go Mickey Henson and Robert Gibson. Put a semicolon here because that's how I separate between main show and pre-show. Maybe it looks like it has no rhyme or reason to anyone else, but it makes sense to me, so that's what I do. I'll get to the pre-show stuff in a minute. I'll probably add a second match of some sort. One bad thing is because I have to run the same region time after time, local talent is not exactly in abundance. Moreover, there are only so many of those guys you want to use. And typically when I use somebody like, a one night only, in the most literal sense of the way it is in this game, where it shows up, the local worker. These same guys are there over and over and over. You have to pick your spots. And basically every game I've played before in this series, if you're going one region to another, you're trying to get popular on a national basis, you rotate around enough where you're not using these same few guys, of those that are willing to work for you. They won't all necessarily be willing. You can see like Ricky Reyes that I've brought in a time or two. One thing I tried before with Spud, Drake Maverick. I tried, I think they were too small for him. Anyway, so you get the idea with that. So, main card is set as far as the matches, the referees, and the agents. Now, we have the sizzle to go with a steak. I find it beneficial to go through and say, okay, with the microphones, using the freestyle, which I definitely approve, I guess I do approve, but I also prefer the freestyle for storylines versus like the pre-made stuff. Where I can go through and say, okay, this person was selling, and this person with overness, this person with microphone. And then, hopefully, it works together as well as possible. All right. I tend to start with microphone. We'll go, and you have to be careful with this, though, because you get a range. This is new for 2020 versus like 2016. I have like a set number. Like if my microphone was 65, that's what I had. This can be like 45 to 89, or even further than that as far as the two numbers being apart or closer. And there's variance from person to person, just like real life. But we'll go with 70, because I want to make mention of that, because it can fool you if you're not careful. Code of Brazil looks good when I put 70 above and he shows up, but it's a 26 to 71 range. Let's see. And because I do have this unusual thing of a Sunday show dropped in on top of the normal cycle I've had, just a weekly Tuesday shows, it's a little different. So I can bring in ACH, just have him basically taunt TJ Perkins ahead of their Sunday match. Perkins can't be here since he's working Impact. So let's see. ACH. There is some extra expense if I'm booking somebody to come in and cut a promo on a show and that's it. In theory, I could get that same money, have more a pre-show match, but then you risk injury and a lot of other things, and it's just... Especially since I'm trying to keep it, there's one situation only, if nothing else, where there's very little from one to the other show as far as actual wrestling goes with the participants, except for Lio Rush because of the storytelling. Melendez. It's a much smaller range compared with Code of Brazil down to 26. Let's see. Definitely Casanova will have his opportunity. I can always have Dave Prazak do a sit down. Because he was assigned as my CEO, he's going to be at every show anyway. Sometimes I'll have him go out and like warm up the crowd or welcome the crowd. And it might make sense to have him work with Lenny Leonard, who I've also got on my team. Except I put myself in the game as a play-by-play guy, sports broadcaster, because that's what I do in real life. But hey, I'm not going to put myself in the game as a 42-year-old with a bad neck. Are you taking any bumps? But it's kind of cool that you can put yourself in the game if you want to, just for fun. Let's see. 7 months and 1 week till we get Slater back. It's too bad because Slater was really good. Again, I know he worked lower mid-card at best with WWE, but that was just on them for underutilizing him. Plus, this game happens to have him portrayed with a lot of very positive skill-wise. How about Fatu? Jacob Fatu's microphone? Yeah. Let's see. Big Cass, I'm not going to have do a promo. Selling. See how good that is for Big Cass? 78 to 96, and you can use that within promos or basically angle, I think is the weights. You know, is it match or ankle? Selling. Big Cass. And again, that's pushing this special Sunday show. But it's a one-off. It's a chance to learn how a few things might work as a child company running 2 shows, trying to get around the whole pesky problem of wrestlers that are also signed to Impact that got blocked almost right away from me being able to use on a regular basis because Impact started running Tuesday, the day that I run, and I'm not going to switch days unless it really becomes a problem. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's get that range. Linda's there with that selling. It's too bad his matches have been just kind of But there's only so many spots and so many wrestlers to choose from. That's me. Lio Rush. The 55 popularity, that's the thing to go with for him. Okay, so microphone's not bad, but that 55 popularity from doing some sort of a pre-match video, whatever, that's what we'll go with. I have a Primo and Epico. Easier to just go with the popularity, I think. For some reason, I had Dax down as a 53. I guess because things change from week to week. And that's a good thing. You can have things adjust. I mean, it's incremental, but it's something that takes effect right away. Right, so this is an easy start, in theory. Add angle. And I love that starts at freestyling. That is right down my alley. So essentially, I'm just putting together a hype video for my 6-man tag main event. There's Hero, Cash Wheeler, oh come on, Dax Harwood, Overness, Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu. Just worry about that too much right now. So Jacob Fatu, let's do this with a microphone. Primo and Epico. I just leave them as is. Main event hype video. Really straightforward, 3 minutes, book it. Now, I complain about this every time. I don't understand why it's like this. Having to like use one triangle and move to the next to the next. I don't like it. Let's see. But you know, but I deal with it. I'll be alright. Okay, but I have to remember as well, though, okay, a microphone for ACH, for Brody King, guys that aren't working this show that I'm doing right now, setting up to work on the Sunday show. So, at angle, of course, freestyle. Although, let me get back out. I do want to check one other thing. I don't understand why Jacob Fatu isn't showing up here. I hope not. I don't think there's anything I'm missing because there's Jacob Fatu. That's kind of weird. Oh well. Freestyle, ACH, and because Perkins isn't working this show because he's working with Impact, I can't even use him as far as the name to go in here, but not a problem. ACH promises to knock off TJ Perkins in the main event this Sunday. You have to rate at least one of them on something. Let's see how he uses the microphone. That is the transition between Lio Rush and the main event hype video. Let's see, we have 12 minutes to add. I think it's going to be easier if I just do a hype video. Not actually choose this, because then you're stuck with what they want you to have the rated on. Forget that. No way. Lio Rush. Overness. Jesse Goddard's. There's selling on there. Let's see if that works. Rush versus Jesse Goddard's hype video. I realize this is hype video in a couple of places, but that's just what they are in reality, so I'm going to mark them as such. Big Cass on his selling. Brody King on his microphone. Let's see. Brody King cuts a Brody King. I just put like Brody King cuts promo on Big Cass. Just gonna put that. So Brody King expects. Says. Brody King talks about his upcoming match. Cass. If everybody's yelling or everybody's angry, then nothing really stands out. Different ways of explaining things. Although this doesn't have any way to describe how he's talking about his upcoming match. You could presume he's ranting about it if you want to. 7 minutes to fill. Christian Casanova cut a promo on Simon Grimm, the former Simon Gotch. Okay. Casanova. Christian Casanova says Simon Grimm doesn't stand a chance. 2 minutes. Five more to go, but I have something to plug this El Phantasmo debut. And I'll do something in one of these matches down here. Or I'll find nothing to tease on this show. I can't. Because Rich Swann, well, even if he had signed with me right now, I wouldn't be able to use him here, even for just a reference in a promo, because he'd be working Impact. But PJ Black can always cut something, but let's see. I don't know if I want to do that. Selling. Yeah, I probably do actually. But first things first. Phantasmo. ELP. Okay. Dave Prazak does a sit-down interview. Phantasmo. So 2 minutes to go. Or to fill. Let's see. Let's see, from a popularity standpoint. Big Cass with a promo on Brody King based on Cass's selling and Brody King's popularity or overness. Also did that earlier in the show. So it's not every match is preceded by a video directly relating to it. Got tease things for later. And plus this is a tease for the Sunday show. But it splits it up a bit for me. Brody King talking about it, virtually Cass talking for 2 minutes. And that's going to fill up to 120. The number of minutes need to fill to get exactly the 2 hours. So, Cass based on selling, Brody King based on overness. Cass cuts in. Passionate promo about needing not to berate but to beat Brody King. Come on. Usually for these I just leave the road agent alone. It's like, I mean, I could switch in like Ricky Moore and Robert Gibson, but it really doesn't matter. kind of silly anyway to have a rotation for a promo, but certain companies, everything gets micromanaged and produced to a ridiculous level. You're going to have that. Although I'm not saying that for here. It's actually a knock at WWE. So I can put this between the two longer matches. We're at 120. That's good. Yehai and pre-show and Lio Ryan. But I mean, it's just it's not good. But it's a pre-show match. And ultimately, Yehai gets the win. I'll have him dominate. I keep it pretty quick. Make sure each referee gets 2 matches. And we'll have Chris Hero Agent. So Fred Yehai, decisive win. Domination, see what happens. Now I could add one more match. No, come on. So the wrestlers I have here. So I have to get a car crash style match in. I could make that the Yehai and Brian. I don't really want to do it that way. It can be a wild brawl, but that's not going to really. It's the pre-show, so it doesn't matter that much. We'll have to be the car crash, and I can be done with it. Pre-show. Why didn't the sinus steal the show, did I? That's odd. That I had. It's the high spots. Could let this be the match to steal the show. Consistency. Yeah. You know what? If I'm going to push Casanova, I've got to find out what he can do when he's under a little bit of pressure. I know he's capable of having good matches. Let's raise the stakes a little bit, shall we? And that turned to green. I could potentially add one more match. I've got the Rock and Roll Express agenting, but they don't have to work every show. They also work as an agent. That's the idea is that they're, what's the term? They're occasional wrestlers. Okay. So I think we're good to go with a card. I want to check from the top just to be sure there's nothing out of place. Like a promo that runs or a hype video after the match that it's supposed to be hyping. Those triangles, I don't trust it. I have to double check just to be sure. All right, here we go. Oof. Tough crowd. That's the pre-show match, and this is a good one, so even though it's a 29 rating, it got what we needed accomplished. Trip Cassidy struggling. But a good match. It's funny, despite the off their game and an unhappy crowd about seeing Trip Cassidy. Got the crowd hotter. They show off to a strong start. They only went 6:27. Looking at putting over Robert Gibson's road agent work. Crowd was just not happy to see a lot of those guys. Except Barrington Hughes. Just into a hot crowd. Awful gimmick. Yeah, 51 rating for the promo. That works. Exceptional match. That's despite that vocal crowd that I warned about. Max Stardom quietly carrying the team there. I guess I can't click on him right now. So far, so good. 3 out of the 7 matches on the main card in the books. I guess keeping that cocky gimmick for ELP worked. Should have given Prazak a script. See, I clicked on it, but it didn't seem to actually. So I don't want to do a double click. That happened one time when I was going through here. You got all this trouble to set everything up, and then try to utilize some caution. And despite Facade being off his game, look at that at 58. That ELP having a nice debut. Good improv by Christian Casanova. Well, they didn't click. We still got a 48. Got the crowd buzzing. It's funny the contradictions you get at this level with my company being so insignificant, where everything is like a big star because the company itself. Talk about the brand being a star in WWE. This is the opposite. But you'll have that with a brand new brand. I guess they both got penalized for stamina. If they're going all out with more than 11 minutes, still got a 48. Plug in that match for the Sunday show. I think I'm going to save that Sunday show for the next feed. This has already gone quite a while. Give me a chance to think it over as well from the results from this show. High video did pretty well. That is 68. Jesse Goddard's. Lio Rush has been able to do that. He keeps getting these very good matches out of guys that, with the in-ring performance rating even being much lower in many cases. It helped the crowd was very hot at this point too, no doubt. the announcing quality, originally when I started, it was very low experience. Now it's just up to low. A couple more months and I'll be like even as far as any sort of rapport with the video game version of myself and Lenny Leonard. Exceptional match. So ACH talking smack to Perkins, even though I couldn't actually put Perkins in the segment, so I couldn't use anything as far as advancing the storyline. Although it's not a big deal. Still got a 51 for it. Is it hype? Good to know about Jacob Fatu. Able to go off script, handle it. Nice main event. Rating is 69, and again, my all-time highest is I think 71 or 72. The very first show, the main event was Chris Hero against Heath Slater. 71. That's the high watermark at this point. So finishing with a 69, considering the Epicos aren't top tier, Fatu is making his first appearance in the territory, first night in the promotion, and you wouldn't have thought either the world champ or the tag champs would lose. But they put on an obviously very good match, built on the storyline, got some more heat. Open match helps get them over in ways that don't hurt any of the three champs involved. Speaking of champs, also the fact that Jacob Fatu is the MLW, I think, heavyweight champ in this game. Got pinned by Dax Harwood. Oh, it's not like a knock, though. I mean, FTR's great. The former Revival. It was so great seeing them show up on Dynamite this past Wednesday. I mean, you figured that's what they were going all along. But it's pro wrestling, so you never know for sure. Which is part of what makes pro wrestling both fascinating and frustrating at the same time. Although when it's done well, that frustration part tends to be lower and tends to be just more build for what you really want, the big payoff on the big show where people pony up that cash, fill up the stadium, and hopefully we'll get to a point sometime soon in real life where that will be a reality again. At least the possibility will be. Finish the show. Overall at 63. Every region will increase in popularity, but that's not a surprise. Just because we're so low as far as being a very new company. Alright, so 3 of the wrestlers I lined up to work this upcoming Sunday. It'll be easy to sign them, but it's complete all worker signings. It's because we've already basically figured out the deal. So we're ready about that. The call-up warning for PB Smooth. Okay, these are all the same day. I was confused. Remember the Kenny Doan weight gain from before? I think, what? And that too, but it's not in pure chronological or reverse chronological order. It's just the way they happen to assemble it there. So 61,732. So very close to the week before, which was close to the week before. So you're going back, but then it's that's how quick it was. Just getting that first point of popularity out of 100 made a difference. All you know, since I've got those guys, I can go ahead and mark them. So the question marks around them. Since the live stream's going anyway, I can go ahead and just say, alright. Question marks for Thornstowe, for Flamita. I'm real hopeful that Flamita is a steal of a pickup. He's 25 years old. Okay, his microphone skills aren't high end or whatever, but that's why they have managers. Gino Medina. There he is. So I know he's in there somewhere. I'll still have to keep the question marks around El Hijo de LA Park. Alright. So at least, if nothing else, for one pre-show match, Brazil over Seidel. Mike Seidel, that is. Bestia to beat Flamita. Zenshi and Hella Wicked have been a pretty good tag team. They'll be in there to win. Josh Woods lost in his debut, but him beating Thornstone at a one-off would be good. Caveman coming in. Assuming I can get him. Cavernario against Petey Williams. Gulak and Rush, I'll have them. It'll be Sabin who drops the fall. He's one of those impact wrestlers that is blocked every Tuesday now. Cain Velasquez, I've done my best to keep him strong. And it builds on a couple of weeks back with Gulak and Rush when Lio Rush had gone to, what was that, time limit draw? Yeah. And after the match, Gulak, after the match, jumped Cain Velasquez, and Lio Rush just kind of watched it, do anything to help. So it makes sense because there's some continuity to this to have them team up. They being Drew Gulak and Lio Rush. So we'll get the Caveman, we'll get Son of LA Park. And then Rich Swann. Should be set. It'll be interesting to see with that as well because I'm running 2 shows instead of 1. If that's going to make any sort of difference in the speeding up of my company's popularity, or if that's something that you can't try and push it too fast. We'll find out. So as you can see, I'm waiting on those 3, but this is why I did that on Sunday or Monday or whenever it was versus now on Wednesday, because that's 2 days closer to that next show on Sunday. One other thing I must do right now so I don't forget later is to put in the one-off special for Sunday. Again, I tried to create a TV show as for Liftoff, and they said, oh, no, you can't do that until you're a medium-sized company. So it's the weekly event instead. Same difference, more or less. Like usually the best performance you've had as far as your top 10 show ratings. Okay, so we had 40 people that last show, which is ridiculously low when you've got like tens of thousands watching online, but that's okay. Part of the learning experience. Again, never before in this game could you play as a child company with an AI or computer-controlled parent company. So PB Smooth, I'll have him finish up on that next show. So I could use him on the one-off, but I tried not to repeat guys like I mentioned. But here we go for week 2. Just make a note of, let's see, what did it say for Smooth? So, this is 27 days. Oh, never mind. So I was typing that, I was thinking, like, that seems odd. That should be a bad thing if they said, okay, we'll bring it up in 2 weeks instead of 4. When you're thinking that you get, like, a full month to prepare to have somebody go up to the main roster. can adjust the time later. As far as for the show, I've been doing 2 hours. But 8 matches, that generally speaking, will get you to 2 hours. Some of those matches may have to be a little shorter, but that's okay. Woods against Thorsto doesn't need to go 14 minutes, lock it in stone. And so these undercard matches can go a little quicker. And if there's a huge problem, then I can bump something down and make it work. So we'll go 2 hours. Okay, that's not what I was trying to do there. Add new event. Oh, okay, launches in the company. It's a little generic, like Sunday special. Active intent. Throwaway. This doesn't really matter since I'll set the region when I load it up to book it, but it doesn't hurt to have it in there now just to see how it works. I've never tried this before. Make sure, no, I don't want Wednesday, be Sunday, August of week 1. Launch Sunday special, 2 hours, no brand, no celebrities, no live music, no fixed venue. This is just a one-off. Save and continue. Save. No. There we go. Make sure if I hit X, it's not going to like forget what I just saved, because sometimes you have to hit the X, sometimes you've got to find the save button. It's not the most intuitive thing. All right, so that's it for episode number 14 of Lou Pickney Plays Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. Next time, episode 15, will be my first time having a second show in a single week. Long-awaited rematch between ACH and TJP in the main event, and lots more from there. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, episode number 15. Lou Pickney Plays Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. Have a good one.